Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat. Here I am today in what is probably gonna end up turning into a rant. So, I saw earlier today when I was browsing Reddit on our Toonami that Jason DeMarco made a tweet sometime this morning actually talking about Adult Swim's viewership compared to Toonami's viewership. And he actually made the claim that Toonami is actually majority female in viewership, approximately 55% of the viewing audience being female, which a lot of people in our Toonami really ate up and loved. But then I looked at the numbers, and that is not the case. So, going right quick to it, here is the Showbuzz daily chart from this past Saturday that I mentioned about briefly in the Toonami video that I made yesterday for the ratings. And it was, if you see here, I've marked out in red the columns for females 18 to 49 and males 18 to 49. I chose this because, like I've mentioned before, for advertisers, the most key demographic are people between the ages of 18 and 49. So I felt like that'd be the best representative to look at the people watching it. And also marked out where My Hero Academia and One Punch Man were. They were the 10th and 14th highest rated show on Saturday, respectively. And I also highlighted to make things clearer. Underneath, I made the red underline under the specific ratings and numbers it got divided by gender. And if you look at My Hero Academia, which this is a bit of a judgment call from me, but I believe of all the shows currently on the block, it's probably got the largest female fan base. Because I know a lot of friends, personally, females who are like really into the show and actually cosplay as some of the characters on the show when they go to conventions and stuff. And that's a bit of an arbitrary call, but I feel like if there's one show on the block that has the largest female audience, it would be that. And here it got, in females 18 to 49, a rating of 0.23, which is a nice solid number. But for males, it got a 0.36. Now, right off my top of the head, that means approximately, I'll say about like 59, 60-ish percent of the viewers, based on peer ratings alone, would be male, which is not what Jason DeMarco said. So ultimately, you have this thing where it's like, well, what does this mean? What numbers are DeMarco looking at? And he does go on later in this Twitter comment stream, talk about he had access to Nielsen numbers, which would be all well and good until you realize that Showbuzz Daily, the source I'm showing you here, also accesses Nielsen's numbers. These are the Nielsen numbers you're looking at right now. Nielsen numbers show that he is 100% wrong in this claim. So I find that absolutely interesting here. And also, if you look at One Punch Man, you have a similar case where about 60-ish percent or so of the fan base watching it is male. And the only mathematical way in which both of these things can be realistic is because if you note, what ratings actually measure are the proportion of the whole group that is watching TV at that point, not as a whole. It's not saying, oh, 0.23% of all females between the ages in the country are watching My Hero Academia. No, what it says is the proportion of females that age that are watching TV at that moment. So the only plausible way where a majority of the people watching Toonami at that point are female is if by a margin of virtually 2 to 1 or so, I did the math quickly before this, that twice as many females in general are watching TV as males, which, although I can't necessarily say, like, oh, that's false for certain, it's a claim I find to be kind of, how do I say, harder to believe that even if you say, oh, more women watch TV, that is a very high ratio that would have to be at for this to be realistic, to the point where you can almost say it's not to that heavy. You can almost heuristically say, yeah, it's not by that much. So, long story short, Jason DeMarco is a complete liar. He lied about the viewership of Toonami. And like, if you go on our Toonami here, you're gonna have a lot of people go way out of the way to defend DeMarco, like he's some type of messiah to them, really. And they're like, "Oh, he has access to stuff we don't. He knows everything." And it's funny, the one person. I'm not gonna mention any of these screen names, obviously, because I'm not that type of person. I'm not gonna dox or anything. One person who's like, well, kind of points out the same thing I am. It's like, well, the public Nielsen numbers paint a different story, they completely lambast him and downvote him. It's just like one of those things like logic does not reign there, you know? And again, Jason DeMarco, who I covered in a video like last week as a cringe meister, yeah, not only is he cringe meister, he's also a complete liar too. He lied to the Toonami fan base here and probably lied to the advertisers. Wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he told them like, "Oh, we're getting more like the Nielsen ratings. They're not accurate. We're actually getting a lot more female viewers for that." And I would not be the least bit surprised if that's what he's doing. And again, and also to point out like the whole like his whole ego. Like I said, going back to this tweet here, he's like, for those in the back, like, yeah, I got to make this clear because I'm the source of authority and I'm better than you. Kind of this mentality that he has, and you don't need to go far in his Twitter feed to notice that this guy is a pretentious asshole, and he is. Sorry, I told you this kind of turns into a rant, and like, yeah, and I don't know about Adult Swim's viewership if it's 55% male. Anything on the low side, Tanama's viewership is probably 55% male. Like I said, probably closer to 60 to 65% male, as I have shown you already. And at the same time, though, I mean, it's just like, and look, I'm not going to be like, oh, women should like anime. Women should totally love anime. And what I've noticed over time is that there's a lot more female fans coming to anime than there ever has been, which I think is also a good thing for anime, of course. And at the same time, though, that's my theory about this, is that DeMarco is trying to find some way to lie to advertisers to get more profits for Toonami, higher advertising profits, which, considering the fact that cable is dying out, and Toonami over time is having lower ratings, despite the last few weeks actually being pretty good for Toonami in general, ratings-wise, cable is dying a slow, inevitable death, and Toonami inevitably will suffer the same fate in the long term. And I think this is just him trying to milk money out of advertisers, you know. And that's just my opinion about it. What do you guys think? What's your opinions on this whole controversy? Leave your opinions down below. I love reading them. If you want more Toonami news content, please like this video. Please subscribe and hit that notification button. I am Super Orange Cat, and that is all.